I still remember the day of the eclipse. That day, when the sun hid behind the moon, our small town was cast into an unnatural twilight. It was on that day that our shadows betrayed us. I remember standing in the middle of Main Street, my special eclipse glasses pressed to my face, surrounded by neighbors who had all come out to witness the celestial event. It was supposed to be a moment of unity, a rare event that brought the community together in awe and wonder. But as the sky darkened, a chill that had nothing to do with the shadowed sun crept up my spine. Our town, nestled between dense forests and rolling hills, had always been a haven from the chaos of the outside world. But that day, as the corona of the sun peeked out from behind the moon, casting eerie light that seemed to warp the very air around us, I felt a dread I couldn't shake. I glanced around, my breath catching in my throat, as I noticed the elongated shadows of the people around me. They twisted and writhed on the ground as if alive, a stark contrast to the stillness of their owners. A hush fell over the crowd, a collective unease that seemed to tighten around our throats. Whispers began to fill the air, soft and insidious, emanating from the very shadows that stretched across the ground. They were unintelligible at first, like the wind rustling through leaves, but grew louder, more urgent. People started to look around, confusion turning to fear, as they searched for the source of the whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. I watched frozen as a young boy, no more than 7, stepped towards his shadow, head cocked as if listening to a secret being told just to him. His mother reached out, a word of caution on her lips, but before her fingers could brush his sleeve, the shadow shifted, swelling and darkening. And then, with a speed that belied its formless nature, it enveloped the boy, swallowing him whole before anyone could move. There was a collective gasp, a moment of stunned silence, and then chaos erupted. That was the beginning of the eclipse of shadows, the day our own silhouettes turned against us, whispering dark secrets, and dragging the unwary into an abyss from which there was no return. I didn't know it then, but I was about to be drawn into the heart of this nightmare, a fight against an ancient curse that threatened to consume not just our town, but the very essence of who we were. In the pandemonium that ensued, it took everything in me not to flee. The air was thick with terror, the crowd dispersing in a frenzy, seeking refuge from the malevolent shadows that seemed to hunger for us. I remember thinking, absurdly, that this was how the world would end, not with a bang, but with a whisper in the dark. The disappearance of young Tommy Watkins, the boy who had been consumed by his own shadow, was the spark that lit the fire of panic. As night fell, more reports surfaced, people vanishing, pulled into the dark by something unseen, their screams cutting abruptly as if silenced by the eclipse itself. I found myself drawn to the library, a place I had always considered a sanctuary of knowledge and reason. The ancient building, with its towering shelves and the musty smell of old books, seemed like the last bastion against the madness that had gripped the town. There, amidst the tomes of history and folklore, I hoped to find answers. My hands shook as I pored over dusty volumes, the words of ancient curses and forgotten lore blurring before my eyes. It was there, in the dim light of a solitary lamp, that I stumbled upon a passage that made my heart stop. A legend, buried within the pages of a book so old its title had faded, spoke of a curse laid upon a town long forgotten, a town that bore an uncanny resemblance to our own. According to the legend, during a total solar eclipse, the shadows of those marked by the curse would rise, animated by the dark energies of the event. These shadows would whisper the darkest fears and secrets of their human counterparts, luring them into the darkness where they would be lost forever. The curse could only be broken by uncovering the source, an ancient artifact hidden within the town, bound to the land's darkest history. As the pieces began to fall into place, I realized that our town's founding myths, tales of pioneers settling the land against all odds, might have omitted a darker truth. A truth that lay buried, waiting for the right moment to resurface and claim its due. With the legend as my guide, I knew what I had to do. I had to find the artifact and break the curse before the eclipse's end, or our town would be lost to the shadows forever. The quest to uncover the ancient artifact was fraught with danger. The shadows, emboldened by the eclipse, seemed to sense my purpose, whispering with increased fervor, as if trying to dissuade me from my path. Each step I took was a battle against the fear that sought to root me to the spot. The whispered voices becoming more personal, more insidious, playing on my deepest insecurities and fears. I scoured the town's historical records, piecing together the fragmented tales of the town's early days, looking for any clue that might point me to the artifact. My search led me to the old town hall, a decrepit building that had been abandoned for as long as I could remember. The structure, with its boarded-up windows and ivy-covered walls, stood as a silent sentinel to the town's forgotten past. As I pried open the heavy wooden door, the air inside hit me like a physical force, musty and laden with the scent of decay. The building groaned under its own weight, the sound echoing through the empty halls, adding to the eerie atmosphere. It was here, among the decaying remnants of our town's history, that I found the first real clue: a faded map of the town, with a location marked by an X, deep in the forest that bordered the town. Armed with this new information, I ventured into the woods, the shadows growing longer and more menacing. As the sun's light waned, the forest seemed alive, aware of my intrusion, its usual sounds drowned out by an oppressive silence. I could feel the eyes of the shadows on me, their whispers now a cacophony that seemed to come from every direction. The journey through the forest was a blur of fear and determination, every snapped twig or rustle of leaves sending my heart racing. I stumbled upon hidden groves and overgrown paths that seemed to shift and change, disorienting me, leading me in circles. It was only by sheer will that I pressed on, guided by the faded lines of the old map. Finally, as the last rays of the sun threatened to disappear completely, I found it a clearing in the heart of the forest, untouched by the encroaching shadows. At its center stood an ancient stone altar, covered in moss and etchings so old they were nearly indecipherable. It was here, the map indicated, that the artifact was hidden, the key to breaking the curse and saving our town from the encroaching darkness. The air in the clearing was charged with an energy that made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. The whispering shadows seemed to hesitate at the edge of the clearing, their dark forms writhing as if in frustration, unable to cross into the sanctified space. I approached the altar with trepidation, aware that the fate of the town rested in my hands. The ancient stone was cold to the touch, its surface worn by time and the elements. The etchings, upon closer inspection, revealed a series of intricate symbols and diagrams that spoke of a time long past, of rituals and bindings that had kept an ancient evil at bay. It was clear that the artifact was not merely hidden, it was sealed away, locked behind a puzzle that had safeguarded it through the ages. With the last light of the eclipse waning, I worked feverishly to decipher the symbols, relying on the fragments of lore I had gleaned from the old books. The whispers of the shadows grew more desperate, their voices merging into a cacophony that sought to drown out my thoughts. But amid the chaos, a pattern began to emerge, a sequence that seemed to resonate with the energy pulsing from the altar. As I placed my hands on the stone, aligning the symbols as the ancient diagrams dictated, a profound silence descended upon the clearing. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a sense of anticipation, as if the very earth was holding its breath. And then, with a shudder that ran through the ground beneath my feet, the altar split open, revealing a hollow chamber within. Inside lay the artifact, a simple, unassuming object that belied its immense power. It was a small, intricately carved stone, glowing with an inner light that seemed to pulse in time with my heartbeat. As I lifted it from its resting place, the shadows at the edge of the clearing recoiled, their forms dissipating like smoke in the wind. With the artifact in hand, I felt a surge of energy coursing through me, a connection to an ancient lineage of protectors who had stood where I stood, facing the darkness. The whispers of the shadows were silenced, their malevolent presence retreating as the power of the artifact washed over the land. In that moment, I understood the true nature of the curse. It was not a punishment, but a test, a challenge to rise above our fears and stand against the darkness that dwells in the hearts of men. The artifact, a beacon of light in the darkest of times, was a reminder of the strength that lies within us all, the power to confront our demons and emerge victorious. As the eclipse passed and the first rays of sunlight pierced the darkness, the town was bathed in a new dawn. The shadows, once twisted and malevolent, were now just ordinary silhouettes cast by the morning light. The curse was broken, the town saved from the brink of oblivion, by the courage of one who dared to face the unknown. But the victory was not without its cost. The town had been changed by the events of the eclipse, the scars of the ordeal etched into the very fabric of our community. Some who had been taken by the shadows returned, their minds haunted by the whispers they had heard in the darkness, while others were lost forever, their absence a solemn reminder of the price of our salvation. In the aftermath, I found myself at a crossroads, the weight of the artifact in my hands, a constant reminder of the responsibility that now rested on my shoulders. The ancient curse might have been broken, but the darkness it had unleashed was a stark warning of the fragile balance that exists between light and shadow, between the seen and the unseen. As I gazed upon the town, its streets quiet and peaceful in the light of the new day, I knew that my journey was far from over. The artifact, with its ancient power and mysterious origins, was a key not just to our town's past, but to the countless mysteries that lay hidden in the shadows of the world. And so, with the artifact in my possession and a newfound purpose in my heart, I set out to explore the depths of the unknown, to seek out the dark corners of the world, where the whispers of the shadows still lingered. For in the end, the eclipse of shadows was not just a moment of darkness, but a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring spirit of those who stand in the light, undaunted by the darkness that surrounds us. In the days that followed the eclipse, our town slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, but the shadows of that event lingered both in the physical world and in the hearts of those who had lived through it. The town square, once a place of bustling activity, now held a somber silence, a monument to the memories of the eclipse. I found myself wandering the streets, the artifact always with me, hidden away, but its presence a constant weight. People greeted me with a mix of gratitude and awe, their eyes betraying the fear that still haunted them. I was the one who had faced the shadows and returned, but in their whispers, I heard the unspoken question, at what cost? My nights were filled with restless dreams, the whispers of the shadows echoing in my mind. The artifact, for all its power, was a mystery, its purpose and origins a puzzle that demanded to be solved. I pored over the ancient texts once more, seeking answers in the cryptic symbols and faded pages. As the town healed, stories began to emerge, tales of bravery and sacrifice, of moments of terror and acts of kindness. The community, bound by their shared ordeal, came together, rebuilding not just the physical structures, but the bonds that had been tested by the darkness. The young boy, Tommy Watkins, returned to us, his disappearance during the eclipse a mystery that he could not explain. He spoke of darkness and whispers, of a place beyond the shadows, but his memories were fragmented, lost in the mists of whatever realm had claimed him. His safe return was a beacon of hope, a sign that even in the darkest of times, there was light to be found. As for me, the quest to understand the artifact and the ancient curse it had broken became my purpose. I traveled beyond the borders of our town, seeking out others who had encountered the shadows, piecing together the lore of the ages. The artifact, I discovered, was part of a larger tapestry, a story that spanned the centuries, its threads woven into the fabric of countless cultures and forgotten histories. Each piece of the puzzle revealed new mysteries, leading me further into the depths of the unknown. And yet, despite the dangers and the darkness that I faced, there was a sense of fulfillment in the journey, a feeling that I was part of something greater than myself, a guardian of the light in a world where shadows lingered just beyond the edge of sight. The path I walked became a bridge between the light and the shadow, the seen and the unseen. With every step, the weight of the artifact seemed to grow lighter, not in physical heft, but in the burden it represented. It became not just a tool but a part of me, a symbol of the balance that I now understood was my charge to maintain. The mysteries of the artifact and the shadows it had once controlled unraveled slowly, each discovery a piece of a larger puzzle that spoke of an ancient battle between light and darkness, a cycle of power that ebbed and flowed like the tides. I learned that the eclipse was not the cause, but merely a catalyst, a moment in time when the balance could be tipped for good or ill. My travels took me to distant lands, where I met others who shared my burden, guardians of light who stood watch over the shadows. We exchanged tales and knowledge, each story a thread in the fabric of a shared destiny that bound us together. I realized that our town's ordeal had been but one chapter in a much larger saga, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of the unknown. As the seasons changed, I found myself drawn back to our town, to the familiar streets and faces that had been the start of my journey. The town had healed, its scars woven into the tapestry of its history, a reminder of the darkness that had once threatened to consume it. The people welcomed me back, their faces marked by the passage of time, but their spirits undiminished. They saw in me a reminder of their survival, a symbol of the victory they had achieved over the shadows. But I saw in them the true heroes, the ones who had faced their fears and stood firm in the face of the unknown. In the end, the artifact found its resting place not in some distant land or hidden vault, but in our town, a beacon of light that stood as a guardian against the darkness. It was a symbol of our victory, not just over the shadows of the eclipse, but over the shadows in our hearts, the fears and doubts that we all must face. And as I looked out over the town, the setting sun casting long shadows that stretched towards the horizon, I understood that the true resolution lay not in the end of the journey, but in the steps we take, the choices we make, and the light we bring into the darkness. The eclipse of shadows was over, but the story, our story, would continue, a never-ending cycle of light and shadow, a dance as old as time itself. And in that dance, we find a purpose, a strength, and a hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, the dawn will come, and with it, the promise of a new day.